Hello YouTube, this is Keith Kevin Kent. How you doing? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time since I had a chance to talk to you. I'm so happy to do another video finally. So let's talk about the knives you see in front of you. These are the 11 biggest folding knives in my collection. Why did I choose 11? Well, actually, I set out to choose 10 of my largest knives, but every time I do it, I forget the Spyderco Dyad with its two blades. This time I didn't forget it. This time, the Tatanka Spyderco is not the largest. It's this two-bladed monster, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's talk about these knives. Again, the biggest folding knives in my entire collection. Here's a knife no one talks about. I love this knife. I remember when I was building my Spyderco collection, I came across, I call it Ulize. I don't know how people pronounce it. It's the Spyderco Ulize. An international crime fighting organization, they never say who it is, came to Spyderco and said they wanted a knife that they could put on them. Look how thin it is. Dependable and deadly. Because if they had to reach for the knife, that is probably their last defense. And since Spyderco had done the police, they went with the Ulize. This Ulize has a 4.1 inch blade, 9.6 inch total, VG10 blade, G10 scales with liners. And by the way, this is the only time you'll see a 4.1 inch blade as one of the smallest blades on a desktop. And that's when you're talking about the biggest blade. Here's another knife. It's funny that the biggest blades aren't talked about a lot. And I know some of you love big blades, but we have to admit, for most people, the Paramilitary 2 is the biggest blade, or the Shaman, which is the same size pretty much of the Paramilitary 2. This is the Spyderco Tighe stick by Tighe. I love the titanium scales, carved out scales. I love the profile of this S90V steel blade. Again, very tactical. Remember, I might have trouble relining these exactly. And then the military. I think the most recent military was a HAP 40 burnt orange military. I was so happy to see it come back. This is one of the oldies. I still have my full Tighe military. This is titanium as well. But this is with the fluted Tighe, and it's blue. Spyderco always has problems with its blue. But it's anodized blue with a frame lock. You're used to seeing militaries with a back lock. This and the other titanium military has the frame lock, and I love keeping it. By the way, that Tighe stick, 3.9 inch blade, but when it's extended, it's a little bit bigger than the Ulize. This is the military with 4-inch blade, S30V steel. So it not only was special with the full Tighe and the frame lock, but S90V. Oh, I'm sorry. Take that back. That's the Tighe lock is S90V. This was S30V. Sorry, S30V on the military. And then here's the police. This is a police 4.4 inch blade This is the Knife Center exclusive with that pack of wood scales and the Hap 40 steel. I love this. I love all of those exclusives, by the way. Whether it's the Dragonfly or the Delica, Endura. But I love the Police big knife. And you guys know I'm a huge Brous Blades fan. A super huge Brous Blades fan. This is the division. This is a special division with blue C-Tech scales. I have three of the regular big divisions and 3 of the mini divisions. I'm sweating in this house because the air conditioner in my building is out. So as we go on, my slippery fingers will be a problem. 4.4 inch blade, D2 steel, and like I said, blue C-Tech. That's a big knife. So big that they needed to do the mini as well. The thing with the bigger knives you'll find is usually the makers make sure that they have a smaller version as well. The military, what came after the military? The paramilitary. And then, of course, the paramilitary 2 with the compression lock. The Police, to me, you know, there's a lot of smaller versions. My opinion, a lot of smaller versions. The Endura, to me. And now, even smaller than that, the Indela. That between the Delica is, to me, almost a perfect knife. And then the division, they didn't try to hide it. He made many divisions after that. Now, the big knife that has always led my top 10 before I pull out my Dyad is the Tatanka. Spyderco Tatanka. No one talks about it. It's a big knife. 5.1 inch blade. Look at that thick blade. I love it. VG10 steel with these big G10 scales. And of course, the stainless liners. The total length, 11.6 inches. With that back lock. The thing is, this thing was so big and so robust. This isn't just a back lock. Spyderco had to create a different lock. It's called the power lock. The power back lock. You see? More moving parts. They had to take it into 2 steps. You see that? To handle that big blade. The power lock is a Spyderco exclusive, and they created it for that big Tatanka. Let's talk about the Dyad. This was a sprint run long ago. When I found this, when I found that it even existed when I was going for Spyderco, I couldn't believe it. And then to be able to get a new in-box sprint run, I loved it. But then I found the Dyad Junior, which when both of the blades are out, it's about as long as this handle. They also have a micro one, even a smaller one that would make a good keychain knife or something. But this has a serrated edge and a nice pointy edge. Yeah, pointy edge 3.4 inch, the serrated 3.8 inches. Each of those have this strong back lock. Look at that. The one opposite controls that blade. Of course, you're not... So 2 back locks for the 2 blades. Now, I have it stretched out because we're trying to find the biggest, right? And so I extended it just like I've extended all the others. Man, it is hot in here with no air conditioning. Don't ask me why a big luxury place doesn't have the air conditioning went out. But anyway, let's talk about this as I'm sweating. So I love the Dyad, especially the small Dyad, but I love the big one too. And then, oh man, you guys know I'm a big Microtech fan, and the Halo 5 is one of my special Microtechs. It is not a double out the front. It's single action out the front. Listen, yeah, big mamma jamma. I love that combo blade as well. N690 steel. Look at that big fuller at the top. This is a real nice knife. Great action and huge. That's one of those knives, you know, people know you're serious. I have carried this knife, but I'll tell you, I usually leave it next to my door coming into the apartment. When a stranger locks, I go just to be prepared by my leg. And I walked out with it knowing that I wasn't happy with the area in the city that I was going to. Zabo folder. The Spyderco Zabo folder. I always wanted to get the blacked out version, never did. But I love this carbon fiber with the golden black. Isn't it nice? S30V steel. You notice a lot of the bigger ones, 4.6 inch blade. Look at it. Isn't that wonderful? Look, compression lock on this big blade. So it's a very strong, dependable knife. If you notice, most of the bigger knives in my collection, most of the bigger knives that you see, they come out. I'm not talking about, you know, obviously, I'm not talking about fixed blades. But most of the pocket ones that are this big, most of them are very tactical. Now listen, I used to laugh when people talked about tactical and this and that. I went, every knife is tactical. I grew up that when someone pulled a knife on you, if someone pulled a knife on you, they were looking at being tactical, no matter what it was. But a lot of, you know, we love our tactical blades these days. This is a real special Microtech. I was so happy to be able to get it. This is an old Cypher. This was actually number 002 Cypher. What a beautiful knife. S30V steel, 4.6 inch blade. Just another one of the big, well, my second biggest Microtech. And then at the end, I love when you read earlier things. I collect all the Spyderco catalogs, and when you read some of the earlier ones, even in their book, when they talk about the Civilian, they say this was for self-defense. I mean, this was tactical. They came up with that reverse S, and then when you put a serrated edge or a spidey edge on it, this just rips you apart, plain and simple. I love that it comes, a lot of the reverse S knives, they're super tactical. They're made to be tactical when they're in this form. Now the funny thing, you know, there is nothing funny. If someone pulls out a Civilian to you, beware. This was the very first Civilian, very first round of Civilians. There is a newer version that has, you know, black G10 scales. But what a wonderful knife. Let's see. Yeah. Can you see that? G2 stainless steel. It's one of the earlier Spyderco knives in my collection. And I love them all. There you have it. The 11 biggest knives in my knife collection. I'm sorry, the 11 biggest folding knives in my knife collection. hey, more videos are coming. In fact, I'm going to do knife videos combined with, I've been falling in love with these silver collecting and gold collecting videos. Remember I keep saying I'm going to share all the collections? I have a bunch of collections in this apartment and so I've been collecting silver and gold for 10 years. I sold a bunch of it in 2011 when silver hit close to 50 and gold at that time hit 1400. Now, of course, it's closer to 2000, but back then, all of the gold that I had bought, and I had collected them like I collected knives, one of each kind, ounce, were at 800. I even had some that I had earlier passed on to me that were $300 gold pieces. So I just sold them all. I had some tax issues and I lived off those coins for a year. And then I started again. And so we'll talk about that collecting as well as sharing some knives as well. I appreciate all of you guys. Take good care of yourselves, please. Everything is crazy out there. It's hard just to live a simple life without getting wrapped up in the crap. So I want you guys to take care of yourself. Do me a favor. Almost 100% of the people who watch my videos are men. Call up your strongest friend, relative, male that you depend on to be strong when you feeling your weakest, and ask them how are they doing. You'd be surprised those kind of men don't have other people asking them that. We just assume they're strong and ready to go all the time. But do that for me, okay? I appreciate all of you. Take good care of yourselves. Keep those pockets full. And yes, more videos. I always promise them, and then I take a time off. But we're going to do 3 knives, a large, a medium, and a keychain knife. And we're going to tell my gold and silver coin collecting story as I go through this large collection. Okay? I appreciate you all. Keep those pockets full. Goodbye.